A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, Julian Assange, of course, who made so many headlines for the WikiLeaks and all of those classified documents coming out. Well, he is now working on a plea deal, and it looks like he is going to be released at some point tomorrow and go back to Australia. Of course, it was tons of documents. Remember, lots of very confidential classified documents. And joining us now to talk about all of this is former Army Intel officer. He is also now the current president of Project Sentinel, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer. Tony, your reaction, you've met Julian Assange. Tell us about what you think of him and what do you think of this deal?
Yeah, I met him years ago when I was actually back in the days we could go on MSNBC before they went completely insane. And I was there in the studio in D.C. and we talked very briefly. And he struck me as a kind of an arrogant guy who really didn't care about following rules, which I guess you got to kind of have that attitude. But with that attitude, I think he did a number of things which obviously resulted in his current troubles. The basic allegation against him is that he proceeded to not only encourage whistleblowers, he actually tasked Bradley Manning or Chelsea Manning, depending on you want to call him or her, who was a private at the time, to essentially provide him, WikiLeaks, tens of thousands of classified documents. Some of those documents were political and very embarrassing. Others were operational. I was talking to my good friend, Captain retired Sean Parnell. Sean was actually in Afghanistan when the leaks happened. And he said that the routes of his platoon and what they were doing was actually leaked as part of what Assange put out there. So
wow.
I have mixed feelings about it. Obviously, I think there are some necessary things he got out regarding the high level kind of duplicity of the Obama White House and things like that. But at the same time, he compromised what Sean considered very dangerous information relating to his operations in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I also know some folks high level in the military who were furious, who were so worried about just exactly the sources and methods because right. it exposed some folks who were deep undercover, and that's a really dangerous place to be. On the other hand, too, it's interesting because he's kind of saying, well, I was the journalist releasing the information, and the real culprit was Chelsea Manning, who was the one who gave it. So is that a fair argument, do you think?
No, it isn't. So I'm a counterintelligence guy, I'm a special agent. So there's a line. Rita, if Chelsea Manning, Bradley Manning, whatever you want to call him, had provided that information essentially on his own without being tasked, then that's, he gives it to a journalist, publish it. There's a line. The moment that Assange tasked him, that is to say that he reached, basically made contact and said, these are the items we want you to get. The moment you do that, that becomes espionage because you task him as if he's an asset. This is the same, that's traditional spying. So that's what the controversy's been. Is it one thing for Bradley Manning to release it, to give it to him without any direction? Another thing entirely if he becomes essentially an asset, what we call a controlled asset. So that was the rub. And that's why Assange has been held on espionage charges regarding the United States and sharing of sensitive or classified information.
What do you say to people, Tony, that are saying, wait a minute, he's getting off by the Biden, obviously it's the Biden DOJ working on this deal because they were trying to extradite him to the U.S. for all these years. And yet they're going after President Trump for what is it, like a salt crystal compared to the amount that Julian Assange here, Yeah.
So, President Trump had every right to have any document he so chose since he's an original classifying or declassifying authority. So I believe the Supreme Court will side with him and what I'm saying on this. With that said, Assange and what he did was something that was actually compromising to multiple levels of our security. Now, again, I have mixed feelings about this. Full disclosure, like I said, I do sympathize, and I think there were certain things he got out that should have been gotten out regarding wrongdoing of senior officials. I get that. Tony Zinni and I did a thing with MSNBC. We talked about some of this stuff, but there was a line. He crossed that line by actually, using a Manning as an asset. And that's where, President Trump did not use someone as an asset. So you just say.
Tony Shaffer, John Catsimatidis.
Yes, John.
Now, people don't remember. It's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
What did he get out? So people realize, want to understand how guilty he is. What secret information or non-secret information did he get out that everybody was upset about? And was it justified to get out?
Well, I believe some was, some was not. So again, if it was just a tranche of information given to Assange from without direction, then you publish it like the New York Times or any other big publication does. I mean, publications.
Yeah. So what did he? What was it?
So it had to do with the specific information regarding the conduct of the Iraq War, specific information regarding cables, State Department cables relating to the Iraqis.
Yeah, we went in there and got rid of Saddam Hussein, who was balancing the power with Iran.
That was part of it, but more directly, John, it was about the issues relating to the Iraqi government and duplicity between us and Iran. Because if you remember that during that time, we were actually dealing with Iran behind the scenes and some stuff, and I think that's what made it so sensitive. Is the fact that it showed that the Obama administration wasn't actually telling the American people everything they're doing. Plus, there was some other wrongdoing relating to the strikes against Iraqis, innocent Iraqis. There was some gun camera footage that showed some Reuters journalists being killed in combat by Americans, where the Americans had broken the rules of engagement. Things like that were very embarrassing. And I think that those were the things which really got the Obama administration upset.
Between us, I think that he should have published it. The heck with them. The American people have the right to know what the heck is going on.
I agree with that. But the problem, like I said, John, was Sean Parnell and others felt that there was tactical information provided which gave the Taliban and others some understanding of what we were doing. And that's where Assange should have drawn that line, and he didn't draw that line. That's the issue.
Thank you, Tony.
Really
Shaffer.
Interesting. Thank you, Tony.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you for getting the American people the truth. That's what they want.